Welcome everybody who's joining us. Glad to see you today. If you get a chance, pop a note in the chat where you are located, where you're listening in today from. That would be good. We have some of our team that will help us monitor the chat call today. So we're really excited about this webinar. We're going to be streaming across some different platforms and trying out some new features today. So hopefully the technology will work. We love technology, but we love it most when it works, right? So we're gonna have a good time today. How to get more done in half the time is the title of our talk. And I know that's intriguing to a lot of people today. We're calling it the superpower of time management in your life and business. I was thinking about this. We talk a lot about leadership, and leadership has a lot of nuances. That's for sure. But one of the most important things that doesn't get as much attention in the area of leadership is how a good leader manages their time. Maybe because it's not as sexy a topic as some of the others. I don't know. But certainly to be a good leader, it's going to also encompass how we manage our time. I have a slide here I want to show you. Well, first of all, here's some of the things that we're going to highlight today. We're going to talk about low payoff activities, high payoff activities. We're going to talk about moving to higher levels of success in your time management. And then we're going to talk about some real keys to help you deploy and take away some immediate things to apply today. All right. But there's a saying that says to know and not to do is to not yet know. So my question is, what do you do? Not what do you know, but what do you do? To put it another way, it's not what you know that makes a difference in your life. It's what you do with what you know that makes a difference in your life. Kind of many of you on this call today are people of faith. And there's a scripture in the Bible, John 8:32. It says, "You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free." Well, it's not the truth, though, that you just know about, but it's the truth that you apply that sets you free. And so it is this way here. It's not what you know that makes a difference, but it's what you do with what you know that makes a difference in your life. So here's our statement. To lead others, you must first lead yourself. And to lead yourself, you have to manage your time effectively. And that's what leadership is all about. Leading ourselves, we understand that. We call it the law of the lid. If you're a one or on a scale of 1 to 10, if you're a 5 as a leader, then to lead 6, 7s, and 8s, you're going to have to grow in the area of your ability, your leadership. And so to lead yourself, you have to learn how to manage your time. It's a part of leadership, like I said, that sometimes doesn't get as much expression. I've got a question for you today, though. Here's a good question. What is the value of your time? Have you ever stopped and started to compute what is the value of your time? If we're really going to focus on time management, we need to know the value of our time. You need I want to say a healthy awareness of the value of your time. Some people, we do this exercise in our effective personal productivity course, but some people it's, $30, $40, $50, some people $100 or more. So that means that 2 hours that you spent scrolling around on social media yesterday might have cost you $100, maybe $200 or more. So, and then when you multiply that out times number of days, times number of weeks at the end of the year, you can realize, oh my goodness, I have literally wasted thousands and thousands of dollars that could have been productive. So here's our first, the overarching principle and for our talk today is this: have a time management plan. Do you even have a time management plan? unfortunately, many people don't even have a time management plan. And so they just become slaves to the tyranny of the urgent. They allow other people's demands and crises sometimes to drive their activities and to drive their actions. Look, I get it. The pace of life today can make it hard to get anything done at home, at work, but usually what happens is it leads to either a lot of frustration or procrastination. The funny thing is, the more you have to get done, the more the pressure rises, the more procrastination can even set in. And so without a clear time management plan, then honestly, doing nothing seems to be the easy option. And then getting less and less done becomes the norm. You ever felt like you're just running around full speed for a season and yet not moving any closer to your goals? Now, of course, that's assuming that you even have goals. I was thinking about this too. The difference between tasks and goals. A lot of people say, well, I've got goals that I want to accomplish, but they're not really goals. They're what we would just label as tasks. Because you see, a task is just something that you want to get done. A goal is something that has a well thought out, meaningful purpose, and it has steps, specific steps toward achievement of that purpose. So you can run around full speed and just work on tasks and feel like you're getting overwhelmed, and you're not alone. A lot of people are in that plan. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you a good, better, best in how we help you in this process. All right. So let's start with good. A good plan is to write it down. Now, there's been a lot of studies on this, but writing crystallizes thought. And crystallized thought motivates effective focused action. Now, I know we kind of live in a digital world today. We've kind of moved from an analog world to a digital world, but they have discovered, they've done research on this, the way the brain and our action, our motivation, our focus is the simple act of taking a pen or a pencil and writing it down will move you automatically to a higher level of action and application. Believe it or not, just writing things down on paper will level up the productivity that you want to accomplish. In fact, I used to have a saying, things that don't get written down don't get accomplished. So just a good plan, if you have no time management plan that's effective, I would at least start by writing things down. But a better plan is to put it on your calendar. We would call this just doing some basic time blocking, right? Around the things that are important to you. Because here's the deal. If something is your highest priority, then it should use the majority of your time. How do you know if something is your priority? How do you know if something's using the majority of your time? Well, your calendar should validate what you say is most important in your life. All right. So put it on a calendar, write it down, put it on a calendar, and put a time frame, a date on that calendar. I need to have this done by this date. That again will take you to a higher level of productivity. But we don't want to just do good and better. I don't know about you, but when I go to buy something, it's a good marketing technique for retailers, right? You go to the store, okay, this is the good product. Oh, but this one's a little bit better. But then they always have the best, right? I don't know about you, but the way I'm wired, I got to go for the best. Well, I don't want the good one. I want the best one. So the best plan is to run it through an effective goal planning system. Writing it down is a start. Putting it on a calendar is obviously better, but the best plan is to have an effective goal planning system. Well, what is an effective goal planning system? Well, that's a system that helps you identify what we call high payoff activities and eliminate what are identified as low payoff activities. Once those are clear, once those are established, then you put those in your calendar with a completion date. Another alternative word for high payoff activities is critical success factors. what we call CSF, critical success factors. These are the most critical things for me to accomplish. I must get these done. So what are your highest payoff activities? Well, a lot of people, again, they don't have a system to identify, to take time to strategize and identify what those are. Research was done many years ago. It's called the Pareto principle. Many of you in leadership have already seen this, but it bears repeating. The Pareto principle says that 80% of your productivity comes from 20% of your activities. All right. So it makes sense then, if you want to get more done in half the time, or if you want to be a more effective leader and manage your time well, then you need to identify what the 20% of your activities are that are going to produce 80% of your productivity. All right. Now, this is a trap that many people fall into, because that 80% of your, do nothing. So if 20% produces 80%, then there's an 80% of your activities that could only produce 20%. So you can see how valuable this exercise is. And in that 80% of low payoff activities are just busyness, things that need to get done. We need to come to understand that busyness is not the same as productivity. What's the difference between busyness and productivity, right? Busyness is having a full schedule. So, raise your hand if you got a full schedule. Probably everybody's hand goes up. So congratulations. We've just identified that you're a busy person. All right. But productivity is not just being busy. Productivity is producing the highest amount of ROI, return on investment, per activity. According to McKinsey and Company, over 50% of individuals right now currently feel unproductive. I didn't say they don't feel busy. I said they don't feel, or they currently feel unproductive. Productivity is different from feeling busy. Busyness is like doing as much as you can, but without getting any closer to any meaningful goals. Productivity means getting closer to your goals only by focusing on those high payoff activities. We're really excited about the programs that we're offering right now at Langley Leadership Group. In fact, at the end of the call here, we want to encourage you to book a free discovering call, because these programs, like effective personal productivity, they are changing lives, radically changing lives. At Langley Leadership Group, we believe that leadership is not just a one-time event. Listen, friends, leadership is a habit. It's a lifestyle. And that's why we are really excited to be a premier franchise of Leadership Management International, a global leader in leadership development for over 60 years, much of that in the professional leadership development space. And we are bringing those resources, those tools, over into Langley Leadership Group, because we know that productivity is not an accident. It's always the result of a commitment to intelligence, excellence, planning, and focused effort. So book your free discovery call. Let's see how we can help level up your activities. All right. Getting more done doesn't just need more time. Have you ever said to yourself, well, if I just had more time, then I would get more done? In fact, I often tell people, you need personal productivity. You desperately need this program. You know why? Because they just said to me, I don't have enough time. Well, we can't wave a magic wand and give you 30 hours a day or 40 hours a day. You're going to get 24 hours a day. That's how it goes. Getting more done doesn't need more time. It just needs a change in your habits. It needs a change in your attitude. And so our proven approach really helps set you up for success. Practical, real-world leadership content, spaced repetition, which is a master key to ideas over time, and just daily application. Your life will flow in the direction of what you do in a day, your daily actions, your disciplines and activities in a day. So we'll help you set meaningful and achieve meaningful goals. will help you focus on high payoff activities, master your time and priority management, learn how to delegate effectively, communicate with clarity, build a high performing team, and all those things that will help maximize your leadership potential. So book your free leadership discovery call, and let's see if there's something that we can do that will make a difference in your life. You know, John Maxwell said the single biggest way to impact an organization is to focus on leadership development. And we want you to be able to do that. All right, let's talk about something here. I want to give you another tool, the habit of doing too much. Because one of the most, I'm going to say one of the most common habits, bad habits, that limits leaders is the habit of doing too much. Now, the drive behind that might come from a good place, but the results of you doing too much can be crippling, because not only does it steal your energy, but it's just going to suffocate your productivity. It seems counterintuitive, but you don't grow by doing more. You grow by doing more of what matters most. Let me say that again. You don't grow by doing more. You grow by doing more of what matters most. So here's 4 things that you would focus on when you're doing too much. So if you feel like I'm just overwhelmed, stressed out, I'm trying to do too much, here are some keys that will really help you. Number 1 is evaluate. Now, again, I keep driving back to this concept of knowing your high payoff activities versus your low payoff activities. This is critical so that you can focus on spending more time on what creates real productivity, that Pareto rule, that 80-20 rule, okay? And less time on the low payoff activities. So evaluate what you are spending the majority of your time on. Number 2 is eliminate, because growing your impact starts with subtraction, not addition. In fact, let me encourage you with something. Stop asking yourself, can I do this? Don't ask yourself, can I do this? Instead, ask yourself, should I do this? Just because you can do something doesn't mean you should do something. So again, eliminate those things that are just about what you can do, but maybe they're not what you should do. The third step in this process, you got to evaluate, eliminate. The third is delegate. All right. One of the things that we teach in the Effective Personal Productivity program, a whole session on that, is how to become a better delegator. Good leaders have to learn to become good delegators. And if you're unwilling to delegate, it's going to inevitably become the bottleneck that strangles your team's potential. In fact, one of the reasons that a lot of ministries and businesses and organizations don't grow is because of the leader's failure to grow as a delegator. So this is essential. If you're going to level up your leadership, if you're going to get more done, then you've got to learn the art of appropriate delegation. There are some things that only you can do, but there are many things that you could delegate to others to do if you'll step in, step up, and learn the art of delegation. All right, evaluate, eliminate, delegate, and then automate. Look for anything that you can streamline or automate. Our team knows this very well. I appreciate our team. I think we're champions of automations. And you can leverage technology to help you with automations. But one area that many leaders forget is automating their decision-making process. I learned this many years ago. I learned to say no instead of yes all the time. There are certain things that are not my value system, and I can immediately say no. I don't even have to think about it. No, I'm not going to do that. No, that's not what I'm about. No, that's not the direction that I go in. So I have pre-decided many things that I will say yes to, and I've pre-decided many things that I will say no to. Some of you who have been around me have heard this story that I tell quite often about how my wife was with me, and I went to see a car that I wanted to buy, and it didn't turn out to be the right car, but I was under pressure in the moment. And my wife looked at me and she said, "Honey, a good no is better than a bad yes." And that just turned out to be a foundational principle that has blessed our family over the years. And so you predetermine maybe what you're going to say yes to and what you're going to say no to. Let me just add this. To be great at what you do, friends, you can't let others determine where you're going to spend your time. All right? You have to intentionally invest your time where it's going to get the highest return. I would look at your time as an investment. Don't just spend time, invest time. Figure out, what are my high payoff activities? What are my critical success factors? What is the 20% that I need to focus on that's going to bring 80% of the productivity, the profit, and the performance in my organization and in my life? Let me put it another way. The best leaders never do just more. They do more of what matters most. All right? The best leaders never just do more. They do more of what matters most. You know, at LMI, we work people through this process. The process, you know, everybody wants success. And the success factor is something that I think the word success gets thrown out there a lot. Well, what is success? Well, it probably means different things to different people. So I'm not going to give you the definition of success. I want to show you how success comes. Success comes from results. There is no success without results. Results are the realization of your behavior and your actions. So certain behavior and actions have led to results, and those results have led to success. But where do your behavior and actions come from? They come from your attitudes, or what we call your habits of thought. Like the Bible says, as a man thinketh, so is he. We do a lot of talking. I do a lot of messages and speaking about how to change your mind, how to think better is one of my top talks ever. How to move from this place to this place by thinking more strategic, thinking better. Well, that's your attitudes, your habits of thought. But where did those attitudes and habits of thought come from? They came from your conditioning. Those things that have conditioned you to think that way. And then where did those come from? They came from spaced repetition. You heard that over and over and over and over. Those of you, you know, I'm still a young man, but I mean, I can think back of commercials. I can sing jingles from commercials that I heard as an 8-year-old, a 9-year-old, a 10-year-old, because that was heard over and over and over. And then that formed our conditioning, and that created my attitudes of thought, my habit, my behaviors and actions came from that. Results came from that, and success came from that, or the lack of success. So if you're seeing a lack of success, then that's because of the results that are coming from your behavior and your actions, which have been established on your attitudes and your habits of thought, which you've been preconditioned to, and which have come over a long period of time of hearing that spaced repetition spoken into your life. So it's difficult to change. It's hard to change. I tell our students, I tell our that are enrolled in our courses, our classes, it's great that you want to change, but be committed to the process. And that's what I'm showing you right here. This is a process. And so we take these critical leadership elements and we wrap them around a very defined process. So it's not just about putting more information in your head. In fact, information is great because you can't do anything if you don't know anything. But it's not what you know that makes a difference. It's what you do with what you know that makes a difference, like we said from the beginning, right? So here's a fact, friends. A leader leads by example, whether he intends to or not. A leader leads by example, whether he intends to or not. That was a quote by John Quincy Adams. So let me recap this really quickly for you here, and kind of wrap this up. I know you've carved out time during the day, and we want to value your time, but to know and to know and to not do. Whoops, excuse me. To know and to not do is to not yet know. That's what we said from the beginning. So what do? Right? You got to identify the value of your time, identify your activities, assign time to your highest payoff activities, right? Eliminate or delegate all the other activities that you have. You just have to have a clear understanding of your goals. Have a clear understanding of where you're headed and what you want to accomplish. I love this quote here by Lewis Carroll. If you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there. And I'm sad to say there are a lot of people that don't really know what road that they're on. So where are you going? We want to help you get there. This is what we call the wheel of life. You're in the center, and all of these areas are areas of significance that should matter to you. Your financial and your career slice of your life, the mental and educational, the social and cultural, the physical and the health realm, the spiritual life, your spiritual life, ethical life, your family and your home. All of those we work with in our Total Leader program. You know, why do people start the year with such ambitious goals and grand plans, right? But you know, we all know the statistics. By March, the gyms have emptied out. By March, all the goals have been given up. By March, we're just moving on, and we kind of fall back into the same old mindsets and same old activities that we did before. I really feel like the basic reason that these plans fail is because we focus on what we want, but not on how we're going to get it. See, everyone has dreams, everyone has goals, everyone has aspirations. The difference between reaching your dreams or settling for mediocrity is having a plan, how I'm going to get it. And that is going to show up in your day-to-day activities. So again, we're here to help you. We've just launched a brand new Master of Executive Leadership degree in partnership with Christian Life School of Theology Global. We're excited about that. But we're going to help you sharpen and hone the behaviors, the disciplines, the skills, and the talents necessary to transform your life and impact your world. You know what? Let me just speak this very sincerely out, and I hope you'll hear this, what I'm saying. The world needs your leadership now more than ever. The world needs your leadership now more than ever. And we can help you maximize your calling, maximize your unique purpose, help you become more productive, help you perform at a higher level. If it's a profit that you need in your business, profits come as the result of healthy leaders and healthy teams and healthy cultures. So it's not just about the end to the means, it's about the means to the end. So let us help you do that. Reach out to us today, langleyleadershipgroup.com, and schedule a free discovery call. All right. I think we'll just take maybe 2 or 3 minutes to answer a question or two. So if our team can help me with the chat.
Yes, Dr. Langley, I know that Danielle had an amazing question. She had, how do you decide what is most important when everything seems urgent?
Yes. Again, that boils down to you have to have a system to do that. Because now I would put those into a category of emergency versus urgent. What's urgent to you may not be urgent to me. So just because someone else is, you know, I used to see this lack of planning on your part does not constitute an emergency on my part. However, there are times where you have to discern, okay, this is an emergency. This needs immediate attention. And so certainly you have to build enough flexibility in your life. You can't be rigid. You do need to be committed to your plan, but don't be rigid. Be fluid. All right. And so if it's an emergency that you need to address, then address the emergency. But begin to evaluate what is my high payoff activities so that you can spend the majority of your time focusing on your high payoff activities or your critical success factors. You can't live in emergency mode. You can't live in crisis mode. You will burn yourself out. So make sure you've got a plan. Like in our effective personal productivity module, that's a lot of it is about timing, getting a handle on this time monster. And I call it a monster because if you don't have a system in place to manage the time monster, you'll never be an effective leader. I wish I could say it any other way, but it's true. You can be gifted, you can be talented, you can have all the potential in the world, but if you don't manage the time monster, you will not be an effective leader. Okay? So that's my answer to that. Any other questions? Are you seeing any in there, Donna? They're perplexing or good? Okay, well, I appreciate that. Well, listen, go to langleyleadershipgroup.com, sign up for our free newsletter. We put out leadership content, things that can bless your life, impact your life. But I want to encourage you again, schedule a free leadership assessment, a free discovery call, we call it. Let's see if there are ways that we can partner with you to help you maximize the plans and purposes that God has for your life and help you be the best leader that you can be, because the world needs your leadership now more than ever. All right. God bless, my friends. Thanks for joining us. And I look to hearing from many of you very soon. Have a great day.